Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees, so fair. Today is Monday, the 13th day of January 2025, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. And don't pay any attention to Monday the 13th. Just ignore the 13th. Those of you who are superstitious, just think of it as Monday rather than the 13th. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on our roads, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Remember, schools are back in session. That means that our youngsters, or which, of course, they are our future, they are on our roads, either on school buses, maybe transported by a friend or a family member, or depending on their proximity to their school in terms of where they live, they may be walking to school as well. So please be careful, ensure that you protect them out there, and also remember, if you observe the rules of the road, then the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, we want to wish you a happy birthday or a belated happy birthday, whichever is applicable. And to remind you that the For the Record birthday shoutouts brought to you by Coca-Cola, who are proud to support your birthday shoutouts. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Those of you who have lost loved ones, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we want to wish you a speedy recovery as well. And of course, we want to extend our prayers and well wishes to our colleague, DJ Lynn, and we wish for him a speedy recovery as well. I have a very good friend overseas who is also going through a traumatic experience, but is exhibiting, strong reactions to the illness. I won't mention the person's name this morning because I first want to get their permission to call their names on out. But if they're listening, they know exactly who they are, and we wish you Godspeed and all the best as well. And it is good to see that on social media so many persons have reached out to you as well. Like I said, I first will seek the permission of the person before I call the name out, and once I get that permission, then I will share that information with our listening and viewing audience as well. So folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy and sometimes dangerous roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Oric Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. We have a toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. WhatsApp us 925-3261. We can only accommodate one caller at a time from our WhatsApp number. You follow us on YouTube by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream, and of course we are on Facebook as well. So first of all, let's look at the birthday shout outs. And first of all, we want to wish a happy belated birthday to Dr. Steve McPhail, who celebrated his birthday yesterday, celebrating 90 years of age, 90 years being on this planet. We want to wish Dr. McPhail a really, really happy birthday this morning. We probably would have had a big celebration right here on For the Record this morning, but we do have guests scheduled, and special birthday greetings are coming from so many people, but in particular, Lord Graham sends his belated happy birthday greetings to Dr. Steve McPhail, who is celebrated his 90th birthday yesterday. We also see Raymond Hyde celebrating his birthday today. Also, Victor Johnson celebrating a birthday today. Let's get all of those persons who are celebrating birthdays today. Nigel Hilton, Julie Black celebrating a birthday today as well. Sharon M. Ebanks celebrating a birthday today. Also, yesterday, Chris McCoy celebrated his birthday. We see tomorrow Miss Charlotte Jackson. Charlotte celebrating her birthday tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, Miss Judith Bennett will be celebrating her birthday. Miss Burns Rankin will be celebrating his birthday on Saturday, the 18th of January. Come the 23rd of January, my good friend, Mr. Alan Haha Moore, will be celebrating his birthday as well. And then on Sunday, the 26th of January, Mark Scotland will be celebrating his. On the 28th, Miss Bessie Thompson will be celebrating her birthday. And on Wednesday, the 29th of January, Mr. Norman Joseph will be celebrating his birthday. And of course, God willing, we will be giving them a big happy birthday shout out right here on For the Record when their birth date actually comes around. And to remind you that the For the Record birthday shout outs brought to you by Coca-Cola, who are proud to support your birthday shout-outs. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Maureen Connolly also celebrating a birthday today. So we want to wish Miss Maureen Connolly a happy birthday. Also, if you know someone who's celebrating a birthday, please share that information with us, and we will give them a birthday shout out right here on For the Record. Let's look at other news this morning. We have, I want to congratulate my good friend, Miss Suzanne Bothwell, and this Cayman Islands government release on Friday, the 10th of January. Court Administrator Susan Bothwell departs civil service. And it reads, the Office of the Deputy Governor has confirmed that Court Administrator and Chief Officer of the Law Courts, Susan Bothwell, has resigned from the civil service with effect the 31st of January 2024. Mrs. Bothwell, who has given 24 years of exemplary service to the Cayman Islands government, stated that she has enjoyed her years of service with the government and the opportunity to work alongside many dedicated and hard-working civil servants. She's quoted as saying, I appreciated that I was able to serve both the government and the community in the interest of justice, which is a core pillar of our democracy and critical to the good governance of our islands. Ms. Bothwell started her career in 2000 as Crown Counsel with the portfolio of legal affairs. In 2007, she was promoted to Senior Crown Counsel and was a senior litigator in areas of judicial review, immigration planning, and anti-money laundering, restraint and confiscation, international parental child abduction, family law, constitutional law, and employment law. Prior to 2007, from 2007 to 2009, she was seconded, and I'm very familiar with this, she was seconded from her substantive post to assume the post of Director of the Constitutional Review Secretariat with responsibility for implementing the government's constitutional reform program, resulting in the coming into force of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009. Between 2012 and 2017, Mrs. Bothwell held the position of Deputy Supervisor of Elections, having previously acted as the Elections Office Legal Counsel for a number of years. In 2016, she was appointed Court Administrator and Chief Officer for the Law Courts, with the Chief Justice's mandate of introducing innovation through the use of technology to improve court services in furtherance of efficient and effective administration of justice. During her tenure, Mrs. Bothwell led in the implementation of a suite of online court services that served to improve the court user experience. These included online access to court searches and unreported judgments, electronic filing of court documents, online payment of traffic tickets, and direct bank transfer of maintenance funds to recipients. Many of these online services were key during the COVID pandemic, as they facilitated continued court operations without significant delays or interruptions. As a court administrator, she also oversaw the acquisition of an additional building to the court's campus and the construction of 2 new digital courtrooms, increasing the court's capacity to hold hearings, including the Court of Appeals and a special sitting of the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council in 2022. Deputy Governor Honorable Franz Manderson has expressed his gratitude to Mrs. Bothwell, noting that her journey from an accomplished attorney at law to a chief officer exemplifies an unparalleled commitment to excellence and public service. Throughout Mrs. Bothwell's tenure, she has consistently demonstrated professionalism, integrity, and an unwavering dedication to making lives better. Her leadership has been pivotal in driving innovation within the law courts, ensuring that we remain at the forefront of efficiency and accessibility in the administration of justice. Those are the words of the Deputy Governor, Honorable Franz Manderson. He further thanked her for her investment in the growth and development of her team. He's quoted as saying, "By championing training and development initiatives, you have nurtured a culture of continuous learning and empowerment, leaving a lasting legacy that will benefit the organization and its people for years to come." And it goes on to say that while Mrs. Bothwell has left the civil service, she continues to sit as an acting magistrate with the law courts. And before we go to our commercial break, I want to say that I hope and I trust that she continues within the legal profession and within the courts in the administration of justice here in the Cayman Islands. And hopefully, one day we will see her as our Chief Justice here in the Cayman Islands. When she was the Director of the Constitutional Review Secretariat, at that time I opined that she was a strong candidate later on for being our Attorney General here in the Cayman Islands, as well. And if I had anything to do with it, eventually she would hold one of those positions, as well. But we want to congratulate her, wish her all that is best, and hope that she remains within the judiciary as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Over a century ago, the unique industry of barking earned some residents double the daily wages. Barking was no easy task and involved trekking through marshy grounds along the North Sound and stripping the bark from the red mangroves along the coastline. The mangrove trees would die after being debarked, and the bark was exported for use in dyes and tanning leather after being weighed and dried. The laborers were commonly referred to as barking fools for enduring the difficult task, along with battling droves of mosquitoes and doing so without the use of shoes and gloves.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget, our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I want to give a big shout out and a special welcome to our own Miss Susan Watson, who's back in the studio as well. She worked so hard during the holiday period that she had to get some time off. So she's back in the studio as well. And we want to thank her for all of her hard work. And we know that our listeners and our viewers out there that they do appreciate her, especially her choice of music in the mornings and everything else. So welcome back, Miss Susan. I've also been asked to send out belated birthday greetings to a wonderful lady, Miss Dana Scott, or better yet, Nurse Scott, who celebrated her birthday yesterday. And the writer says that she is a wonderful lady. So Miss Dana Scott, happy belated birthday to you, and may you live to see many more as well. Let's share some more good news within the civil service. Of course, we know that elections are due in election day will be the 30th of April. We have seen in the past, we have heard in the past, candidates talking about the size of the civil service and, wanting to reduce the size of the civil service. Yet at the same time, there are more and more demands being placed on the civil service as well. So any of you candidates out there who are thinking about reducing the size of the civil service or taking some government departments and privatizing them, letting them be run by the private sector, I think you should think twice about that. And any of you potential voters out there who hear someone voicing such opinions, you would want to think twice before you elect them. So we see here where the Ministry of District Administration and Lands has announced the new leadership appointments in the Department of Lands and Survey. So we see that the ministry is pleased to announce key leadership appointments in the Department of Lands and Survey effective the 1st of December 2024. So Ms. Regina Ebanks has been appointed as Registrar of Lands, succeeding Ms. Sophia Williams, who now assumes the role of Deputy Director. Ms. Regina Ebanks' career spans nearly 2 decades with the Department of Lands and Survey, where she has demonstrated exceptional commitment, proficiency, and expertise in land management. Ms. Ebanks joined the department in July of 2006 as an office attendant and ascended to the role of land registry officer after completing her LLB at the Truman Borden Law School. She was promoted to Assistant Registrar of Lands in December of 2020. In July of 2022, she assumed the dual role of Deputy Registrar of Lands and Deputy Information Manager. As Registrar of Lands, she will oversee the enforcement of legislation relating to land registration and tenure while ensuring the continued accuracy and integrity of the land register. Director of Lands and Survey, Uche Obi, lauded Ms. Ebanks for her, and I quote, dedication and proven expertise within the department, highlighting the importance of her role in maintaining the department's quality service and affirming the significance of her appointment. The new registrar succeeds Ms. Sophia Williams, who has been appointed Deputy Director of the Department of Lands and Survey. Ms. Williams brings significant experience to her new role, having served as Registrar of Lands since November of 2013. Following her tenure as Registrar of Titles in Jamaica from 2006 to 2013. She holds an LLB from the University of the West Indies. Department Director Obi described Ms. Williams as a driving force behind modernizing land registration process in the Cayman Islands. During her tenure as registrar, Ms. Williams led key initiatives such as the implementation of the document request system and the department's document scanning project, both of which drove operational efficiencies and public accessibility. The deputy director position became vacant following the retirement of Mr. Michael Whiteman, who dedicated over 3 decades to the department, joining the department in 1992 as a technical assistant in the surveying section. Mr. Whiteman's career reached several milestones, including earning his RIC qualifications in 2000 and his historical appointment as the first Caymanian chief surveyor in 2015. Mr. Whiteman was instrumental in implementing the department's succession plan, which led to the appointment of Mr. Darren Kelly as chief surveyor in 2022. Reflecting on Mr. Whiteman's contribution, Director Obi stated, and I quote, he demonstrated exceptional leadership and commitment to advancing the department's mission. Acting Chief Officer of the Department of DAL. I'm not going to try to say what the acronyms are. Acting Chief Officer of DAL, Mr. Wilbur Welcome, remarked, we are delighted with the success of this succession plan as demonstrated with these appointments. These promotions reflect the depth of talent within the Department of Lands and Survey. Mr. Welcome added that Ms. Ebanks and Ms. Williams bring strong leadership and experience to their roles, which will be invaluable as the department continues to foster innovation to enhance service delivery. The acting chief officer offered sincere appreciation to the retiring deputy director, saying, and I quote, we also thank Mr. Whiteman for his many years of service and wish him the very best in his retirement. The ministry extends its gratitude to Mr. Whiteman for his dedicated service and congratulates Ms. Ebanks and Ms. Williams in their new roles. And folks, again, here, clear demonstration that there is opportunities for upward mobility within the civil service, and I would encourage all of you out there, improve on your skills, improve on your educational qualifications, and you can achieve the same things. And if you don't, and they give you a hard time, then you make noise about it as well. But there are so many excellent opportunities within our civil service, and those of you aspiring politicians, don't ever think about cutting the size of the civil service, because they do provide invaluable services to the people of the Cayman Islands. With that, we're going to go to our 8 o'clock news. When we return, we will have Supervisor of Elections in the studio with us, Mr. Wesley Howell. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
And studio time by Foster's is a minute after 8.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
I'm April Cummings with your latest news. The Cayman Islands general elections are scheduled for April 30th this year. Supervisor of Elections Wesley Howell spoke with CIG Television about the deadlines that are approaching.
The voter registration deadline, the last one before the general election, is coming up very quickly on the 15th. Our office is open 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're also accepting applications via email, and also online applications can be submitted as well. An encouragement for anyone that is wanting to register, make sure you do it before the 15th. If you're 17 now and be 18 before April 30th, you can on or before April 30th, go ahead and register now. You won't be able to register after the 15th if you want to vote in the election, and you never know, you may want to keenly vote for somebody that hasn't declared an interest yet, or if the referendum happens.
You can find out more at portal.elections.ky. Court Administrator and Chief Officer of the Law Courts has resigned after nearly 24 years of service to the Cayman Islands government. Deputy Governor, the Honorable Franz Manderson.
Throughout Mrs. Bothwell's tenure, she has consistently demonstrated professionalism, integrity, and an unwavering dedication to making lives better.
Suzanne Bothwell started her career in 2000 as Crown Counsel, and then from 2007 to 2009 was seconded to the post of Director of the Constitutional Review Secretariat, with responsibility for implementing the government's constitutional reform program. Between 2012 and 2017, Mrs. Bothwell held the position of Deputy Supervisor of Elections, and in 2016 was appointed Court Administrator and Chief Officer for the Law Courts. While Mrs. Bothwell has left the civil service, she continues to serve as an acting magistrate with the law courts. Disaster response personnel from the Bahamas arrived in Cayman by sea Friday to participate in Exercise Event Horizon, a large-scale regional preparedness and response simulation, which involves more than 10 nations. You've likely heard about it right here on Radio Cayman on Friday. CIG-TV's Donna Bush has more with Regiment Commander Colonel Roger Carter and Director of Hazard Management Danielle Coleman.
The multi-phase Exercise Horizon is designed to test and enhance the region's collective ability to respond effectively.
In this case, here in Cayman Islands, what we'll be doing is what we call HADR, which is Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Relief. And we'll also be doing search and rescue on the Coast Guard side. The nature of this region is vulnerability, especially to threats like natural and man-made disasters. And the more that we can practice together to help one another, better we can do in terms of saving and securing our people.
We also saw last year, for example, our support in the St. Vincent Grenadines, Grenada and Jamaica, about how Cayman can support neighbours. So this exercise is actually the alternative. It's actually neighbours assisting the Cayman Islands in any response. So that's how we're doing this exercise. It's so important to have that collaboration between and the partnership between neighbouring countries, both from a response point of view and what kind of capabilities we all have, but also from networking, making sure that we all know each other, making sure that we're working together in blue skies, so that if by chance we do have a real event, we all know each other and we can work effectively.
The simulation features several critical components, including an aftershock response drill, a search and rescue exercise on water, and a community outreach project aimed at building trust and preparedness at the local level. The arrival of disaster response teams by sea emphasizes the importance of maritime coordination in delivering aid to affected regions during real-world emergencies. Now, over the coming days, the Bahamian disaster response team will be joined by personnel from other regional countries to share expertise, refine protocols, and improve regional disaster readiness.
Thank you, Donna. That is your local news at this hour. I'm April Cummings. Now to the BBC for stories making headlines around the world.
BBC News with Roisin Hasty.
China has reported its largest ever trade surplus amounting to nearly $1 trillion last year. A spokesman said the country had solidified its position as the world's largest trading nation. The United States has unveiled tough export controls on advanced artificial intelligence chips in an effort to limit access to China. A three-tier system will see Washington's closest allies granted unfettered access to the hardware. Countries like China and Russia will be locked out. A Los Angeles fire chief says the battle against the wildfires raging across the region is at a pivotal point. Chad Augustine said strong winds were increasing after a lull and warned the fires could take off again. As hopes of an imminent breakthrough in the Gaza ceasefire talks grow, sharp divisions have emerged in Israel. The former Defense Minister Benny Gantz expressed support for an agreement, but the far-right finance minister said he wouldn't be part of it. Devout Hindus have plunged into the river Ganges at the start of the world's biggest gathering, the Kumbh Mela festival in northern India. It's expected to attract 400 million pilgrims over the next 6 weeks. Devotees believe the ritual bath absolves them of their sins.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Cayman Vets has doubled their reward money for a missing dog. A $10,000 reward is now up for the return of a missing dog that goes by the name of Spiky Haggis. No questions will be asked and no further action will be taken if Spiky is safely returned. The $10,000 reward is for a limited time only. Spiky is blonde in color and is a Pomeranian mix with a distinctive scar above his left hip. Spiky went missing mid-November in the area of Selkirk Drive and Bimini Drive. Cayman Vets is asking that if you have seen Spiky, a blonde Pomeranian mixed dog, to please call or take a picture and send it to 525-5838. That's 525-5838.
Can you tell me what does a turtle do on his birthday? He celebrates!
Celebrate your loved one's special birthday with a birthday shout-out live on For the Record with Mr. Orad Connor, only on Radio Cayman. WhatsApp your loved one's name to 925-3261. That's 925-3261. Radio Cayman's birthday shout-outs live on For the Record with Mr. Orad Connor every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Brought to you by Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands. From Tortuga Wholesalers. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And by Superior Auto. They keep your car in tune. Call 949-9570 or 525-9571.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
2025 will be here. Are you registered to vote? The last voter registration deadline is the 15th of January. Visit elections.ky today to download your registration form. It's quick and easy. Once you've filled it out, bring the form along with your original eligibility documents to the elections office, conveniently located on West Bay Road in Baytown Office Suites. Can't make it in person? No problem. Simply email your completed forms and copies of your documents to office@elections.ky. For more information, visit elections.ky. Call 949-8047 or email office@elections.ky.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 80 degrees. Relative humidity is 77%. The barometric pressure, 30.04 inches and rising. The wind is northeast at 12 knots. Overnight low temperature was 70 degrees. Synopsis indicate light winds and seas expected over the Cayman Islands for the next 24 hours due to a slack pressure gradient over the western Caribbean. Radar images show scattered showers south of Grand Cayman drifting towards the west. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s today. Your winds will be easterly at 10 to 15 knots and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet as well. High tide will be this morning at 9:55, low tide this afternoon at 4 minutes past 4, and a high tide again tonight at 9:21. The sun will set this evening at 5 minutes after 6 and will rise tomorrow morning at 2 minutes past 7. And the outlook is calling for light to moderate winds and seas through Wednesday morning. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Top of the morning, once again, let's take a look what's happening on our roads. If you're traveling on Cool Road heading to Georgetown, slow moving traffic. Steady traffic coming from the east, especially on the Linford Pearson Highway, coming off of Bob Thompson Way and Agnes Way. Steady traffic. As we look to downtown Georgetown on Edward Street, moving on pretty good at the moment. And on the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions, as well as coming from the West Bay four-way stop. Coming off of Esterly Tibbetts Highway, traffic is moving along steadily and continuing on to North Sound Road. As we look to Industrial Park area, traffic is flowing moderately in both directions. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the people's station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman is proud to continue to serve our island community. During the last Lionistic year, they successfully carried out community projects like the Prostate and Colon Cancer Awareness Campaign, site screenings, spelling bees, swim meets, and their community food pantry. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman looks forward to continuing their service during the 2024-2025 Lionistic year and for many more years to come. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman, where there's a need, there's a lion, serving the community for over 50 years.
For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning, and he will be here until 10 o'clock with us, the Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell. We're going to be talking mainly about voter registration. So many things to talk about between now and the 30th of April. But just to update you, so far, on Thursday, the 5th of December last year, the governor issued the writs for holding elections. Then on Wednesday, the 1st of January, the first quarter register of electors, that list was published. The next dateline coming up is this Wednesday, which is the voter registration dateline, and that's what we're going to concentrate on. We want to advise you that our phone lines are open. We have our toll-free number. Provide courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. Also, two landlines, 949-8037, 949-6990. And we have a WhatsApp number that can only accommodate one caller at a time. So if you call that number and you get a busy signal, that means that someone is already on hold there. That number is 925-3261. You can also send us questions or comments on our WhatsApp number as well. So without any further ado, Mr. Howell, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. It is anticipated that you will be on air for, many times between now and the 30th of April as well. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, O.C. Thank you and for the nice welcome, and good morning to you and your listening audience and viewing audience, because you're online as well on the government channels.
Yes. And the registration process, I have seen some videos, and they're obviously directed towards the younger applicants or potential applicants as well. And I see so far that the reaction has been extremely positive, towards that as well. We also see on your countdown here on your elections website that we're 106 days, 22 hours, 41 minutes to go before our elections as well.
Absolutely. This time of the season is all about countdowns and deadlines and planning. And happy to say that voter registration has been going very well. I think the registering officers are not too pleased with me at this point, because we're giving them lots of work to do, and I say that in jest because they are very keen to ensure that everybody that has a right to vote and is able to exercise that right, but they have to take that first step and get registered. So you shared that the 1st of January published the first quarter register. That list had on 23,829 voters. Since then, up until Saturday, and the folks worked on Saturday at the office, we had 801 new voter registration, we call those Form 4s, as you would know. And then we had 442 Form 13s, and those are change of address, change of name, change of occupation. From that 442, we have 286 of those forms resulted in persons shifting from one electoral district to another. So we do have some projected new numbers coming up that will be the list for April, and we're aiming to publish the revised list by the 29th of Jan, so it's going to be busy over the next few days. But Bordentown East is looking at over 1715 or so voters. West Bay South, the next biggest one, projected now 1669. Bordentown West 1656, and then we have a number of electoral districts in the 1500 bracket. So north side is creeping up there, 968. So north side is almost at 1,000. But I'm sure you know all about that, because with your rides on the weekend,
right?
You can see the development happening, and the houses going up and the people moving in. So and East End's right behind with 839. Projected to be so far based on the voter registration numbers. So 2 days and 15 hours left to go before voter registration officially closes. We've been getting lots of requests for elections office staff to assist with voter registration drives that are happening at different places. We're also opening late in the evenings as well, and we are sending some of our folks out to some shut-ins that are not able to visit our office and do the work that they need to do. So if we can't get to your event, I apologize in advance for that, but it is extremely busy for us, and we have lots of phone calls, lots of emails, registration happening online, registration happening in person. So before I came on here, I got a little note from someone saying they encountered several elderly persons who were of the view that they needed to re-register because they hadn't registered since the last election. We have continuous registration now, so we don't throw away the list and rebuild it every time you have an election like we used to. That's how I actually cut my teeth in the elections office, was going and doing enumeration.
Yes.
Way back in the day, door to door. But I would encourage those persons, if they're not able to have a family member or a friend, check the online register to make sure that they're still on there and their information is correct, that their address hasn't changed. But there's no need to re-register if you're on there. The only persons that I would caution to re-register are any persons who would have been sentenced to more than 12 months of imprisonment, in which case you're automatically removed, but you're not automatically re-added. You have to go through that registration process again. You don't necessarily have to submit all your documents, because we would still have those on file, but you would have to submit your Form 4 to be registered. So.
And how does one know that they're no longer on the list? Where are those lists located, in addition to being available electronically?
Electronically, we also have the list available at district post offices. In a few locations where we don't have government buildings, then the list is available in some gas stations and others. So if you have doubt, give us a call, 949-8047. That's the telephone number for the office. Or if you can, have a friend check from their phones or from their laptop the online list and check that you are there.
And it isn't unusual sometimes for persons to show up on election day to discover that their name is not on the register simply because they failed to check it.
Absolutely.
And they may have been removed for whatever reason, convictions, no longer resident, on the island, but then have resumed their residency as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And they may well have a voter registration card that is no longer valid because it was their registration was revoked since the card had been issued. So I encourage everyone to check. We will, as soon as the revised list is published on the 29th, we enter into a 21-day process for the review of that revised list, and it's an opportunity to make claims and objections, and then those go through to hearings. So that makes up part of that sort of 2.5 month process between when we have the voter registration deadline and we have the new list coming on board, which most people agree is way too long, but that's the checks and balances that we have to ensure that individuals do have the opportunity to have a claim, or in some cases concerned parties, including registering officers, have an opportunity to make an objection to someone.
And hopefully the policymakers will listen, just like they paid attention to the whole issue of qualification, as a candidate, and have put in place now a process whereby you as a supervisor of elections can initiate things, because there are those of us who have advocated for more discretion to be put in the hands of the supervisor of elections or the registering officer.
Absolutely.
In terms of what is done.
Yeah.
That can then eliminate some of these archaic things like claims, periods for claims and objections and things of that nature.
Absolutely. That whole aspect of qualification of candidates came home to me, sort of stark reality. We had a credit union board of directors election that happened sort of months after general election, and I remember looking at the documentation, and they did ask me to oversee the election process for that. And I remember looking at the bundles of information that came in on each of the directors that was nominated, and they had to fill out copious amount of documents for SEMA, which went into all sorts of due diligence. And I go, this is so much more granular and detailed than the nomination form that we rely on for the elections office. And I'm saying to be a director for credit union, you have to provide so much more information about your character and bank accounts and all these other things than you do when you run for elected office. And I go, what a contrast.
Yeah, it certainly is. What can new applicants expect? Can they expect sometimes a call from the registering officer if, let's say, for instance, they've submitted something online and something may be missing from that, they may need additional information? Can potential applicants, because sometimes people question, why do you need my contact number? Why do you need my phone number? Can you elaborate on that for us?
It's absolutely key that we have those contact details. We are acknowledging all emails that come in. It might take a day or two because, as you can imagine, the inbox. We had one of our key staff members was in the other evening, and she worked for a couple hours, and she started at 150. By the time she was finished in that period of time, another 150 came in. So the emails are coming in, but we are acknowledging them. So if you hadn't gotten an email acknowledgement from us, then please do so. If you're submitting an application online, you should have gotten a copy of that application to your email. If you hadn't done that, then please give us a call to ensure that was actually done. And probably as critically, we understand that a number of individuals are doing their own door-to-door checks and are filling out forms for individuals, whether that be new applications or changes. If you've done that with somebody, then the onus is on you to check to make sure that information has been received by us as well. So all those critical informations are contact details are key for us, and we want to ensure that all those persons who submitted documents, that we complete the loop and acknowledge that they're on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have two callers on hold. What we're going to do is we're going to take the break a little bit early, a minute early, so that we don't have to interrupt either of those callers to go to a commercial break. So two callers, don't hang up. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we're going to take your call. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
This is For the Record.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell. We have two callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. How art thou?
That was good. Good morning and Happy New Year to Mr. Wesley there.
Hey.
So,
Happy New Year to you as well. Good morning as well.
yeah. Mr. Howell, the one-man vote was brought in to play because I think was mostly based on fairness. Is that true? Is that correct, right?
That was one of the arguments, yes.
One of the arguments, yeah. But I just heard you mention that now one constituents have moved up to what, around 1,600?
Over 1,700 for Boddentown East so far, yeah.
Wow. Okay, now. And then, as far as I can understand from Dr. McFeel, then whenever that happened, then you have to start moving the boundaries, or I think. And I think they went out and did some research and came back with some findings, but up until now, the boundaries have not been adjusted to make it continue being fair. Why is that? Is that legal? I don't know if it would be illegal or it would just be unfair then, because of the argument that was put forward before concerning moving to the one-man, one-vote. What are you saying about that? What do you want to say about that?
So we do have an issue where, in comparison to the international standards, where the recommendation is that electoral districts don't vary more than 10-15% from another one. We do have some of those anomalies here now with our districts, but even given that, because of our constitution, we actually have those anomalies that are actually built in any event, in that Cayman-Brac and Little Cayman are constitutionally guaranteed 2 representatives. So if you look at Cayman-Brac East, which is our smallest electoral district, they are going from 472 voters on the list from 1st of January to 495 or thereabouts for 1st of April. So multiply that by 3 and you're still smaller than Boddentown East, which is the largest, and that seat is guaranteed in the Constitution. So we have some of those anomalies built in because of our constitutional mandate, but we also, so that what the election, the boundary commissioners did, the last exercise they did was they, based on the Cayman-Brac, Little Cayman constitutionally protected areas, they sought to rebalance the numbers within the traditional districts. So they divvied up West Bay into 4 districts that sort of help balance those numbers, because within West Bay you go from West Bay South with over 1,600 to West Bay Central with 1,200, so there were some differences there. And the differences in Georgetown were quite similar as well, where you have several hundred here or there. So they start to divide up new boundaries within the traditional district boundaries within Boddentown, Savannah, Newlands, and then within Prospect through to Georgetown North and all in between. But that report was rejected by Parliament last year. So the boundaries as recommended did not come into effect, because they would come into effect for this election. So this election is being run on the boundaries that were originally drawn back in 2015, which again now, because of the growth in particular areas, some of those numbers have gotten even more out of whack.
And may warrant another commission being
exactly.
Yes,
exactly. So Mr. Howell, suppose the next government that comes in and the constituent grown more, and they also refuse. I don't know if they refuse, but suppose it don't be the findings again don't be implemented and the boundaries are not adjusted. Is there any implementation to that? Is there anything we can do about that? Or does it have to be implemented, or we could just continue ignoring it?
call for a referendum.
Yeah, it is a very political. That is an absolutely political mandate. The only administrative thing in there is that the governor makes the appointments and initiates that process, but the appointments are done on recommendation of the premier, one member of the three-member panel, and one member is done on the recommendation of the leader of the opposition. But once the report is delivered, that's absolutely and exclusively a matter for the elected officials. So if you want to affect that, then you got to put pressure on elected folks to do it.
Yes.
Right. Okay. One last thing before I go. I got to put you on the spot now. What do you think, Mr. Howell, about the one man, one vote changing from what we have had, our ancestors handed down to us, to this one man vote, and what you think about my idea that I always thrown out that say about me being able to vote for 19 people, but making sure that votes are cast for the smaller district like Eastern and North Side. Can something like that be done? How would we do that?
I think that's an excellent idea for a referendum. I was privileged to be an international observer for general elections in the Channel Islands, and what I saw there, that they had a combination of some historical positions that they call sheriffs, and they also had elected members in a more traditional sense, and they had just recently changed their constitution that blended those, so they went from effectively a district level type election to a more all-island election, and they had some very surprising results. So it is beyond me to make those recommendations, and I really think that is something, just like one man, one vote was a referendum matter, that any changes to that level of representation or type of election should be a referendum, and even the way that we vote first past the post could be relooked as well, because there's other ways of calculating the winner in an election that results in a significant majority of voters. But yeah, those are all key issues that I would believe would be best suited for a referendum.
Yeah. Okay. I want to thank you for that, Mr. Howell, because you seem to can generate just about anything to the electoral dialogue concerning the election. So I thank you for that. You're right on the ball. Probably have to start running you in the election.
Instead of running them, running a minute.
Instead of running them. Or running around them. I guess that's what he's mostly doing, running around. I'm trying to keep them in order.
But good questions, Lord Graham. Thank you very much for that as well. We still have another caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, OC. Morning, Mr. Howell.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I got a flu, but I'm trying my best. I say there is a God, see, because I was listening to Mr. Howell, which I know this, that if you thief anything dishonest, you can't run the election, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. But you can smoke ganja and run for it, though.
It all depends on the sentencing.
Well, I ran for election last year, and you can tell back that Elvis was smoking. You hear what I tell you? Anyhow, that's funny. It's something that you can go to jail for stealing. You can go to jail for ganja. But you can smoke ganja and run for election. That's good to know anyhow. That's on the funny side of life. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Elvis, for that as well. One of our listeners also wanted to know about persons who are deceased, either before the revised list is or the final list is published, or when the final list is published between that and the holding of the elections, if a person is deceased as well. And there are several scenarios to that. It is quite possible, and unfortunately, and I hope it doesn't happen, but the person may have even voted. And then, their demise comes after that as well. Those scenarios, could you explain those, sir?
So absolutely. So we have the program out of the election activities, and mobile voting happens the week before the general election. So anyone who votes by mobile vote, I'll rewind that. We have mobile and postal voting, which are both forms of absentee voting. Postal voting starts really early on. We issue our first batches of postal voting within 7 days of the nomination day. So that's the first one out of the gate. So in my tenure in the elections office, we actually had one individual, actually might have been two, who were able to cast their vote and didn't live to see general election day because they did so by postal ballot. And once the postal ballots are in, we don't know who the ballots are for, so there's no removing the ballot, the ballot was counted. But in the scheme of things, those persons who vote by post or who vote by mobile are struck off the broken lists that are used on election day. So there's an indication that that person has already voted and therefore can't vote. If somebody passes away between April 1st and April 30th, when the general election happens, that information is known to the registering officers. That individual is also struck off the list, so they can't have an imposter show up as them on election day and claim to be them and vote in that person's name. So we have those sort of checks and balances that happen. I say often and with great pride that our elections legislation, which most of it predates me, is the most robust that I've seen in any jurisdiction, and we have a very transparent, open process with lots of scrutiny. The only secrets in our process is how an individual votes. If you request a postal ballot, we publish your name to know that you can't then show up at the polls. Similarly for mobile voting, when you enter the polling station, you announce your name, occupation, and address, and that's to nail down that you are who you say you are. We provide lists to the agents that are in there, so they can also check off to ensure that it's known exactly how many ballots were cast all the way through. So it's important that your information is up to date. We do have some individuals who registered years ago when they were students at university and otherwise, who are now senior officials all over the place and still referring to themselves as students. So if you fall into that category, Form 13 is the form that you need to do, change of occupation, send that in and we'll update that information so that is reflected on there. And also pay attention to your address as well.
Now, sorry. So that change of occupation, if a person fails to do so, does that form part and parcel of the claims and objections where the registering officer can bring that to the attention of the revising officer?
I haven't seen many objections as it relates to occupation. Mainly so it's done based on address, particularly if that address means that it shifts from one electoral district to another one. So that is the main one. We also have individuals who have gotten married, gone into a civil union or changed their name by deed poll. So the onus is on you as well legally to come in and submit those documents that would reflect that name change. And you would have to supply us with the legal means as to which you made that change of your name.
Several people have mentioned the fact that they may have old voter registration cards. What advice do we give to them? How can they get an updated one if they so require one?
So our office is the only place that we're issuing cards now. You can come in at any point in time, turn in your old card. If you've lost your card, then there's a process for that as well. You have to give us some documentation on that. I'll hasten to say that although voter ID cards are preferred, it's not the only means that you can identify yourself on election day. You can use a driver's license, you can use your passport. You are obligated to be able to demonstrate that you are who you say you are, but it doesn't have to be the voter ID card. We actually thought that with the introduction of the national ID, we would have been phasing out the voter ID card and replacing it with that, but that hasn't come to fruition yet. So individuals are coming forward with their cards. But I will also quickly encourage individuals as well, even though you have a card, make sure that you're still registered, because it could have been that you've been removed because you moved away, you were challenged. The registering officers will send the notice of objections to your registered address. If that's no longer your address, then you wouldn't have gotten it, and you wouldn't have known that that process was happening.
Precisely,
so, particularly for the Cayman overseas, make sure you checklist that you're still on there.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to talk more to the Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell, about the registration process. Voter registration process, that really is the focus of things, because the dateline for registration is Wednesday, the 15th of this month. So there's a real strong push forward to get as many persons registered as possible, but you have to submit your application by, is it 7?
In person, we'll be there until 7 p.m. On Wednesday. Online by email up until midnight. Yeah. But please don't be all Cayman about it and wait till the very last second to do so. We got plenty of time to do it otherwise.
Yes. And if you have any questions or comments while we're on this commercial break, you may want to take the opportunity to dial in our toll-free number 1-800-534-8255 if you're calling from a flow number, or 949-8037, 949-6990, WhatsApp number 925-3261 if you have any questions or observations. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm surprised that no one has yet opined about the number of registered voters. We know that the UK Foreign Affairs Committee had opined about the size of the voting population in the Cayman Islands when compared to this, the size of the population in the Cayman Islands, and how do we go about increasing that? And they had some suggestions in terms of those persons who are resident on the island, being having the ability to vote. But what we haven't heard from many Caymanians is about the ability of Caymanians residing overseas, and still maintaining a residence here in the Cayman Islands, because you can have, two places of residence. One can be your official one, and one can be the place where you actually reside from. We know that there are other jurisdictions within the Caribbean, in Dominica, for example, where there's been, upheaval and I say that, mildly, in terms of the ability of Dominicans to vote or to return home to vote, and there have been accusations about the government providing airline tickets and charter flights and stuff like that to bring people home to vote. No one has suggested, expanding the definition, of eligibility, so that if you're living overseas but you still have that connection with the Cayman Islands, to be able to vote. Mr. Howell, I know that you, within the elections office and the staff that you have there, we have experts on immigration. In the past, what we did was we recruited mainly from government, but we try to recruit as many people from immigration because they were familiar with the immigration law. So we have persons like Miss Karen Nixon, Miss Karen Gazung, Miss Dulcie Powery, and several others. I just met those are Miss Barbara, Miss Barbara Ebites, and all of those who were familiar with the immigration policy and were able to look at a person's situation, look at a birth certificate, and based on the information on that birth certificate, could determine whether or not that person possessed Caymanian status, which is one of the qualities that is required to be able to register as an elector. Can we talk a little bit about that process?
No, absolutely, and that's absolutely key. And as we close down the last few days here now, I'll make a special appeal to individuals who are Caymanian by birth, are born in Cayman, with parents who are born in Cayman. If you're wanting to register and you don't have your birth certificates and you were born in Cayman, fill out your form, send in the documents that you do have. We've reached out to the Registrar General, and they have agreed that we can request on behalf of individuals copies of those documents. So if you have everything else but your birth certificates, then please don't hesitate to send your stuff in. We can do that work on your behalf on the back end to ensure that you're still able to register. But yes, our current qualifications for to be registered as an elector has that a number of qualifying factors. You couldn't be absent for more than 2 years out of the last 4 years.
Yes.
You have to be Caymanian. You have to not be of unsound mind, not been convicted to 12 months or more, and that sentence hasn't run its course. So there's a number of factors there. And we're working really hard to ensure that individuals who are qualified have easy means of doing that. So we do have the ability to upload your documents now and fill out the form online. That's working well, especially for students overseas. But we have these questions around persons who have been absent from Cayman for a period of time under the Constitution, and in some respects it's a little unusual that the Constitution is quite so detailed in terms of the qualifications for electors and also for people running for office. But individuals who are away because they're seeking medical attention, they're working for the government, they're working for the airlines or a shipping company, individuals going to school, are all valid reasons why the 2 years out of the last 4 years would not apply to you. I've seen from some of the Grand Court proceedings as it comes to the qualifications for elected office, where the Chief Justice in delivering the ruling didn't quite agree with the days absent from country for qualified disqualification from elected office, and has effectively said, yeah, we're a country that our people travel a lot, and sometimes they're gone for extended periods of time. So he's not going to use that in and of itself as a disqualifying factor. So I think that's one area of our constitution that is ripe for revisiting. We have a number of persons who call Cayman home, and if you cut them, they bleed Caymanian. But they're now living in the UK or other places, but they're still very much a part of the local community and very involved with politics and other things. So that's something for the again, another referendum type approach. But as it stands now, if you're absent from the Cayman Islands, you could find yourself challenged either by the registering officer through that objection process, or by a neighbor who knows that you haven't been in country for that period of time, or even one of the politicians who may think that you're not going to support them, so they want your number out of their area and into somebody else's area. So those aspects are there, and I would just encourage folks to ensure that their information is as up to date as possible. The deadline for changes is also the same as the registration deadline, which is Wednesday.
Okay. We didn't have any other questions coming in at the moment. So the 15th of Wednesday, the 15th, the dateline for registration. Let's talk about what takes place after that date, Mr. Howell.
So we're currently doing the data entry process as forms come in. We'll use the days between the 15th and the 29th to ensure that we can account for every add, move, and change. If somebody is moving out of one district, we have to reflect them in another district. It's an interesting task.
Yes.
I have already encountered, for example, one individual who was submitted documents to be registered in Northside, and sort of weeks later submitted new documents to be registered in East End. So that's causing us to have to call and confirm where exactly are you residing. And as we shared in some of the other media releases last week, it is possible for individuals to have more than one location that they spend time in. They could be staying with a girlfriend or boyfriend in one area, still sleeping at home with their parents in a different area, have parents that are not together and end up living different places, or live with a grandmother, or so on. So those are legitimate cases, but we want to ensure that individuals are being factual with their location, and not necessarily just submitting documents because they like somebody who has declared that they're going to be running up in the area and trying to move into that area on paper without actually living there.
And that highlights the importance of having registering officers and assistant registering officers who are familiar with the area that they're responsible for.
Absolutely. As our population grows, that becomes even a little bit more difficult to do. But the voter list is still quite a public document, and easy to search up where individuals are, and therefore the objections, particularly when the last period coming up before an election, is the one that we have most of the high level of objections happening. So that's a possibility. So again, if you're thinking about registering, if your child who's overseas wants to register, or you're trying to get them to register, a number of ways you can do that. You can download the document, fill it out by hand or on your computer, email that in along with the attached copies of your required documentation. You can submit those online as well, same way uploading those bits, as well as you can come into our office, and we're open until 7 p.m. tonight, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and also Wednesday night until 7 p.m.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we have Couple of questions. This person says, what does the elections law state in relation to treating? Yeah, that was one where, one election year, people were saying, you mean you can't even give out a sandwich during the period of time? And they also say, is it possible to ask Mr. Howell if someone loses their voter card, how to get it reissued? I think you spoke to that already, but we can certainly repeat it if it needs repeating. Folks, top of the hour headline news. When we return, the conversation with Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell, will continue. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. The voter registration deadline is coming up on Wednesday. To help get registered in time for this year's election, the elections office will be open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. through Wednesday. The office is located at Baytown Plaza. For more details, you can visit elections.ky online. In international headlines, the number of deaths caused by the Los Angeles wildfires has risen now to 24, and the U.S. National Weather Service issued a red flag warning due to strong winds. There are still 3 wildfires burning in the area, and the largest is just 13% contained. In the Bahamas, Prime Minister Philip Davis has described as unlawful a planned 2-day industrial action called by the Trade Union Congress. The dispute stems in part from a 2021 MOU signed by the ruling Progressive Liberal Party along with trade union bodies that promised a workers' agenda to address pressing labor issues. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell, giving you an update in terms of the registration process. At the same time, encouraging people to get registered, to provide the documentary evidence that is required for the registration. The dateline, of course, is midnight, the 15th of Wednesday, the 15th of January. In person, applications will be received up until 7 o'clock. The office will remain open up until 7 o'clock. And, of course, online applications can be submitted up until up until 12 midnight on Wednesday the 15th as well. So we had one question in relation to the I completely forgot what it was again.
Treating.
Treating. One in relation to treating, and the other one was basically a repeat of what had been early in relation to expired voter registration cards. Yeah.
And also, I got a little note as well via WhatsApp from our registering officer in Cayman Brac, Miss Ellen. She very diplomatically wrapped my knuckles for not mentioning that she's also open from 12 to 7 p.m. At 271 West End Road, Monday to Wednesday. So Miss Ellen is working very hard in the back, talking about knowing your district. She knows her people, and they know who she is and where to find her. She's open from 12 to 7 p.m. So Miss Ellen, thank you for that, and look forward to seeing you soon in person. The question around treating is one that we get very, very regularly during the election season. And it's a matter that has been tested in several of the Commonwealth court systems over the years. So effectively, the Section 96 of the Elections Act speaks to treating. There are separate provisions that speak to bribery and others. And I can read that sort of verbatim, and there's a couple of keywords that stand out when we look at what that sure is.
Yes.
The following persons shall be deemed to have committed the offense of treating under this act. And subsection A goes, every person who corruptly, so you have to pass the bar of corruptly, by themselves or by any other person, either before, during, or after an election, directly or indirectly, gives or provides or pays, wholly or in part, the expenses of giving or providing any food, drink, entertainment, or provisions to or for any persons for the purpose of corruptly influencing that person or any other persons to vote or to refrain from voting at such election, or on account of such person or any other person having voted or refrained from voting at such election. And subsection B goes, every elector who corruptly accepts or takes any such food, drink, or entertainment or provision. So the key bar there is corruptly. So it doesn't mean that persons can't provide food or drinks or entertainment. It's expressed to reach that bar of corruptly, and that's really a matter for the courts. We work very closely with the police during this period of time, and we have assigned to our office a number of investigators. They're usually quite senior and experienced, who are dispatched to investigate any complaints or information as it relates to treating or bribery, or vote buying, as it's more generally known, and can deal with it from that matter. But the bar there is that it has to be corruptly done.
So then, and you cited an example earlier with the Chief Justice in relation to the days absent, from the island, and he's used the example of the fact that Caymanians do travel quite a bit. Could we sort of like take an example from that and say that I've always said jokingly, but it is true, that if you're having a function and you want to make sure that people attend, just say food is being served. In many instances, that is an attraction, especially now with the price of food, consumables the way that they are. So, we know here in the Cayman Islands that you have a function and you provide food almost for every everything that you do. And I also noticed that in that quotation of the law there, it not only speaks of trying to entice a person or influence a person to vote, but also not to vote.
Exactly.
Exactly. I think that needs to be highlighted.
And the converse, that a voter has to accept the corruption themselves, right? So they have to be a willing participant in it. So it's there, and I can remember not Commissioner Walton, but commissioners that came before him saying, "I am not going to arrest anybody for giving corned beef sandwiches at their meeting."
Yes.
And from the case law, from memory, I can remember one of the courts found that a political meeting that served lobster and caviar and did so on the understanding that these people would be voting in a certain way had passed the bar for corruptly trying to influence individuals. But it's something that comes up all the time. I'd like to think that our voters are intelligent and experienced enough to not be influenced unduly so or corruptly so by such actions. But as the previous commissioner said, we aren't arresting people for giving away sandwiches and chicken wings and those sorts of things at a political meeting.
Yeah, I think that this topic gives us an opportunity to speak about the integrity of the elections and the voting process here in the Cayman Islands. And I want to say to people, when someone says, well, I'm going to give you this if you vote for me, I'm going to give you that, how are they supposed to know who you voted for?
Mm-hmm.
When you enter that voting booth, it's between you and your God in terms of who knows whether or not. Because, and the supervisor election will talk about this, what you are allowed to take into that voting booth with you, or if a person requires assistance in voting because of any physical or other incapacity, how that is handled so that only those persons who have taken a solemn oath not to reveal who the person has voted for. So the person can give you all that they want. If they want to give you a piece of land in the East End or North Side or in 7 Mile Beach, they really have no way of knowing who you voted for. You could tell them anything at the end of the day, Mr. Howell.
No, absolutely. And we've tweaked our legislation and practices over the years to help discourage that sort of behavior. So we've put in sort of policies around professional friends. So one of the few ways in which persons can expose the way that they vote is by taking a cell phone or a camera into the booth with you. So we ask people to leave their phones on the outside with our field staff when they go in to help discourage that action. The other bit, and for individuals who may invade other persons' privacy as well as they go through there, the other bit that's there is discouraging those professional friends. So one of the few ways in which someone can definitely know how you have voted is if you indicate that you need assistance in marking the ballot. So by law, that's done by the presiding officer who marks the ballot on behalf of someone who's unable to mark the ballot themselves. They have to take an oath or to affirm that they actually can't do it and need assistance. And that process then has the ability to have a friend present to ensure that the election officer, the presiding officer, marks the ballot as instructed.
Right.
And in years past, we've seen where the same friend is witnessing, 24 persons.
They're friend to everyone.
They're friend to everyone. We also introduced mobile voting as a means of discouraging that whole aspect of showing how you vote, in that if you are able to vote but you're not able to make it out to the polls, or if you need some assistance in doing so, then we will come to you, as opposed to having that done. A couple of issues there that we were seeking to address. One is that the postal ballots are sent out in a very meticulous manner. There are a number of envelopes and declarations that are done by the returning officer in the issue, and those are done based on some unique numbers that are sent out. So that's a batch that goes together. Historically, we've seen postal ballots, when we were issuing them domestically, going to certain P.O. boxes that may or may not have been registered to somebody involved with politics, representing themselves or one of their senior people. And when the ballots came back in, those informations were mixed up in such a way that it appears as if they were all being done at some big dining table or office table, and being done by committee as opposed to individual.
And would it surprise you that I actually had politicians admit to the fact that they sat around tables and divvied up the postal ballots to, and this was when you ran as groups and you could vote for 4 or 3 or 5 persons, and they sat around the table and they shared up the postal ballots to make sure that everyone got their equal share. But for some reason, they mixed up either the certificate of identity or the ballot paper or the
ballot paper envelope.
Envelope, and that revealed that, like you said, that some shenanigans, took place as well. We're going to take a commercial break. We have a caller on hold. Caller, quick commercial break. When we return, we will take your call. Don't hang up. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Wesley Howell. One caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm not going to ask how you doing. The voice tells me that you're between fine and excellent.
Thanks.
Okay, how's Mr. Howell doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, sir. And how are you?
I'm okay.
Excellent.
Something that myself and others is thinking about when it comes about election and campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
Just not listen, but pay attention to what I'm saying, because you can listen but not paying attention. In our view, there should be no financial contributions from anyone pertaining to elections or campaigning. There should be absolutely nothing, because as it is now, you have some very good-minded people, honest people, has good intentions to this island, but they don't. Their pocket is not deep enough. So, how are they going to compete with the multi-millionaires that is pumping this money onto their politicians? And when you talk about whatever it is, 40,000 or whatever they allowed, it should not be. It should be a level playing field, meaning you get in there by your own merits, not what somebody going to finance this and finance that. I hope it would be looked into, because what I said, it is with good intentions, and I hope it is not if and buts and taken out of the context it was meant to be. So bear that in mind and think about it. So have yourself a good day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. We have another caller. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Gentleman. Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning, Doc. Belated happy birthday to you. I gave you a shout out earlier this morning.
Thank you. And good morning to Mr. Howell.
Good morning, Doc. When I grow up, I want to be like you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Howell, thank you for the dissertation on the election process. I just would like to engage both of you for a minute about the corruption and treating. And Mr. For the Record said he how do you know that in relation to treating, how do you know that they voted for you? Well, it's not the fact that they voted or didn't vote for you. It's the fact that you gave them something with the intention that they would vote for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the corruption. They don't have to actually vote for you. It's not an objective test. It's a subjective test. You gave me something with the intention that I do something for you, but I don't do it. It's the intention of the party, the parties, and the person who gives the stuff with the intention that the voter vote for him. That's the corruption in it. But we're not going to get any of this settled until we have the proper election campaign finances legislation. We have to have that. We have to know when people give money and give whatever, where did it come from, what's the value of it, and so forth. And most other countries that I know, they have campaign financing legislation. They have to record everything, and the director of elections or whatever goes and looks at it and sees where the money comes from, who gives it away, especially so that they're not directed by outside influence and so forth, because that can corrupt in an internal government. And so we sort of do everything except to have campaign finance. And it's not enough just to say after nomination day you have to report the money you spent. No. Everything. Once you join an election effort and you are gearing for election, everything that anyone gave you towards that should be recorded, and you would have to disclose that. But that's not going to happen here, of course. I mean, I am just speculating and blowing in the wind. But that's the only how we are going to know, because a lot of, like the last caller said, what about all of the money that people are pumping into the country, hoping to get a particular this verdict or a particular decision, or to get a particular vote, or to get a particular decision from some certain people that they support. And that's not going to happen in Cayman as long as we have the system where you don't have any accountability except after a nomination day, and that is even that is not foolproof, because people pay for all of their stuff before that day. Mm-hmm. They pay for all their expenses before that day, and the expenses that they put out for the 6 weeks before election day is just nominal. They're usually $1-2 here and there. So what do you have to say about that, Mr. Elector, Mr. Howell?
And Doc, I will add one more thing to your question as well. In the past, we have had candidates who have, been very meticulous about the donations that they have received, and hadn't spent all of the money that they were eligible to spend, and have asked the questions, what do I do with the remainder of that money? Now, we know what happens in the United States. You basically put it into a fund, and you can either finance other elections or give it to other party members or whatever. But Mr. Howell?
The law is absolutely silent on that. Completely. So it's interesting that both callers actually had campaign finance at the heart of their arguments. And if I go back to the previous question as it relates to treating the section of the law that comes before that is the section on bribery, which is much more detailed and covered, but still severely lacking in terms of clarity, transparency, and so on.
And there's a reason for that, if I could interject there. Remember now, the persons who are, while the supervisor of elections and others may make suggestions in terms of changes to the law, the decisions are made by our elected representatives, and these are things that affect them.
Absolutely.
And, you know, many of them are thinking in terms of their own self-interest and self-preservation as opposed to, you know, really, is it right or is it wrong?
No, you're spot on. So there is no limitation on the amount of money that individuals can give. There's no limits placed on that. There is in Section 67 of the Elections Act a limit of 40,000, which hadn't been raised now since I think 2016. On what individuals can spend in respect of their campaigns, but the law is not absolutely clear as it relates to prepaid expenses and the accruals process of reporting on matters. So if I'm running for office myself and I buy all of my, I pay the wholesaler for all of the food that I'm going to use for my sandwiches. I prepay the person that's going to do the sound system and the stage. I prepay for my T-shirts, and I then use that during the period between nomination day and election day. Regardless of when I pay for it, the fact that I use it between that window, if we're using accruals process of reporting, would mean that I would report on that value during that period of time. Because that's not ironclad and spelled out very transparently in the legislation. And I know this because when I get the election expense returns from the candidates, I then ask the Auditor General's office to review them on my behalf. And the first go-around, the Auditor General actually went out to places that sold adverts and perform set up for political meetings and said, give me a ballpark of what the average person was spending with you. And the amount of money that they reported that they received was vastly more than folks reported that they spent. So again, that prepayment stuff was an issue. This has been flagged by numerous domestic and international observers, has been raised numerous times with the lawmakers, the government officials whose job it is to pass legislation, but we haven't had any changes to that provision in a really long time.
Yes.
And the limits, which was the last thing that was amended, I believe, if memory serves me right, that was 2016.
Yep. Doc, any final comments?
Yeah, I just want to say what you said, Mr. For the record, about what happened in the States with surplus funds. I know for personally that even during the elections time that I were engaged with, candidates received money and never spent it to the group in which they were that the money was
intended for.
Intended to fund. They took it and put it in their own pocket. And you know, all of that happens, and it's sort of just going on and on and on, and we have all kind of legislation against everything, financial things. You can't go to the bank now and take out $1,000 unless they ask you what you're taking the money out for, your own money, and so forth. So the problem that we have is that when it comes to the political system is so loose, and it's because the people who have to stick to the political system are the people that who are the problems.
And I can share. Recently had a application to register a new political party, and one of the matters that I had to turn my attention to was whether or not the nonprofit legislation applied to political parties. So we had one political party who was on the register that predated that legislation. Mr. Donny Ebanks and Mr. Gilbert Conley, God rest their souls, when they registered the Cayman People's Party, that party was registered as a nonprofit. So this was actually the first application that I received since then that didn't have the documentation that said they were registered as a nonprofit, which has its own set of reporting criteria and whatnot. So I sought some legal advice on that, and the wording of the nonprofit artists, as S.G. Chambers came back to me on, is written in such a way that it actually excludes political parties from being caught up in that. So there is no transparency either in that legislation or in election legislation as to who gives what, who spends what, and the window for accountability really doesn't reflect well on prepayments as well as accruals. So there is need for lots of improvements there, and this maybe will be a topic that some voters might be interested in ensuring the persons that they're seeking to elect to office will have a mandate on to do something about that.
Certainly. Doc, I want to thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Howell. You're one of my favorite civil servants. I absolutely love you. I think that you're very competent, and I have been working with you or for you sometimes, and I really appreciate you.
That goes two ways, Doc. Thank you for all that you do and all the knowledge that you have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Susan, if we have any callers on hold, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we return, we will take those calls. Also, one of our listeners wrote in and said, how are the ballots treated during and after counting to ensure that no one checks on them against the voters list? So the integrity of the voting process and the ballots before and after, because we do have ballots that either come in by post or advanced voting that are held before the count as well. So we will respond to those. This person wanted to say that they just joined the program and they were curious to know whether or not there are any vacancies for election workers. I think you've addressed that before, but you can address that one as well. Let me, thumb through several others. Those are all of those. We had one person who wanted to know whether or not some deceased family members' names were still on the list, and Mr. Howell checked that while in the studio, and their names are no longer on the list, so I have conveyed that to that listener as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Be part of the 2025 Chamber Economic Forum on Friday, 17th of January at the Kimpton Seafire. Join world-renowned economists Marla Ducarin, government leaders, and business experts as we explore the future of Cayman's economy. From workforce innovation to tourism sustainability, this is where bold ideas turn into action. Celebrate progress and 60 years of the Chamber's leadership and service to our community. Sponsored by CUC, DART, Health City Cayman Islands, and the Ministry of Tourism and Ports. Register now at caymanchamber.ky. Don't miss it.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the people's station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have two callers on hold, one on WhatsApp, one on the regular line. Which one was in first, Miss Susan? We're going to go to our WhatsApp caller first. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning, Mr. Howell.
Morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, caller.
Now, before I get to my point, very, very quickly, I understand there is a rumor which is going around. I don't validate that rumor, but the rumor is that in recognition, Mr. Howell, of the time that you've spent and how well you are doing this job of briefing the public, Mr. Manderson is considering giving you leave at the special leave at the end of the election. But I don't know how true that is. Now, I just want to say something about the qualifications for election. You remember the election cases that we had? We had that issue of if you were born in the States, do you have allegiance to that country and so on. Now, I My issue with that is more, first of all, I think the case was, the decision was appalling. To me, I think it was actually shameful, especially considering that after that, a couple was left in debt of $140,000, you know, when actually they were technically right. But to me, my issue is more, has thought been given to amending that? Because it seems that in a country where a lot of people have got U.S. citizenship and other citizenship, that there would still be a provision like that in the Constitution to say that if you've got allegiance to another country, you can't stand for election. So my issue is more like, as wrong as the interpretation was of the provision, it seems to me that to amend it and make it clear that if you've got real connection to Cayman, if you were born, for example, in the United States, it shouldn't be a problem. Now, I'm not asking you to answer that in any detail, Mr. West, because I know it's really a policy question. And then there was the case of Ulrich Lindsay, where they said, well, he wasn't technically absent. Now, again, I would have wanted actually not to even mention his name. I love Ulrich, but to be frank with you, again, that was another appalling decision, because if the law specifically says that it is only in the following 5 closed, narrowly defined cases where you will be considered not to be absent, if you don't fit in any of those 5 cases, there's no way a court will say, oh, but in your case, because you are committed with the islands. In fact, there's a very clear legal principle that you can't do that. Now, the principle shouldn't matter, but just in case you are interested, it's called expressio unius est exclusio alterius. If you've closed the categories, a court can't open those categories. But I just feel that there's need to amend the law and make it very clear in the first case. In the second case, I don't think that you can even amend the law to make it clearer. It's just a question of that decision later on being upset. But in closing, oh, by the way, I wrote what was my attempt at a satire of those 2 cases, and that's how I fell out with the Chief Justice. But that's not for today's discussion. The closing matter, is there thought being given to appealing decisions of the Grand Court in election matters? Now, I know that the policy is always that election matters must be decided very quickly because they are important, the time is of the essence. But in my view, those 2 cases I've mentioned, if they had been appealed, I believe that they would have been set aside. I believe the appeals would have been successful, just like it was, I think, in the Chantel Day case. Is there thought being given to that? Because I think that would be very, very important. The provision in the law now which says that the decision is going to be filed by the Grand Court is what has led the Grand Court sometimes to make these really ridiculous decisions because they know they can't be appealed. I thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Billy. Let's grab the landline. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Oshie.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning to you and Mr. Howell. Mr. Howell, I have a question regarding someone getting registered. My grandson, he's an American citizen with a Cayman passport and is acknowledged staff. Do you guys also need a birth certificate to go with that? Or someone is saying, no, we didn't need a birth certificate?
Brilliant question. And if you have your acknowledgement letter from WRC or from the Immigration Department previously to that, then you do not require your birth certificate. And even if you fall into a situation where you don't have your acknowledgement, you would be relying on a birth certificate, and that birth certificate is from the Cayman Islands. We can source that for you, particularly now that we're getting down really close to the last few days here. But yeah, for registering as an elector, passport, acknowledgement letter, that's all we need.
Okay, that's what I told someone. They told me no. I said they said must double check with you. Okay, thank you very much. So we can get him registered then.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Ms. Susan, any more calls? I hear the WhatsApp number ringing again. Okay, let's grab the WhatsApp caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, Rambo. Same to you.
Yeah, blessings. Go on, Mr. Howell. Happy New Year, Mr. Howell.
Hey, yeah, same to you.
Mr. Howell, yeah, respect, sir. I appreciate your entity, your department. You guys are sorting me out, right?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. Right? Yeah. I'm back on this. Because, Mr. How will you recall the previous platform, right? When you on, I would tell the host my situation. And I would tell her, be precise, accurate, man. That my thing was legitimate. And after I get off the phone now, you see that in my situation, my scenario, I need to come in. So you guys clarify it and rectify that. Right?
Yes, sir.
And how, OC? I recall, with me, I remember everything differently. Anything with me. But I recall late 2012 or 2013, right? The previous governor, Donald Taylor, and David Beans, they were advocating and bolstering this implication of entanglement, right? With beverages and food. Right? And,
treating.
That era, that time, yeah. They were hard on that one. You understand? So, and some people a lot of people were against it because back in that before I born, that was in the making. At that time, the era, you know, who are you to dictate to you? We can the turtle meet or whatever. At the campaign, you know, and you know. And I wrap up now. About I think the last election, he was on with Sterling, and I called in. And you don't agree with me. I was saying that we need to get back to the November election, and we do a national vote, right? Because anywhere in the country that have property markets, the first 100 days, things are established, right? We don't want with this fiasco going on now, with this reshuffling up and down, it's a wild cards. We don't want that again. Because it's like a deja vu. Keep reciprocating back and forth. We don't want that again. So, whoever the next administration is, I'm hoping to consider the first 100 days a national vote that they're making. Right? And Mr. Howell, your entity, your department, I appreciate the remarks because you guys are very practical in the very existence in separating relations. So I give you the props for that. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Rambo. I think we have a voice note from the WhatsApp. Ms. Susan, you want to play that now as well?
Good morning, Mr. Connor. And to your guest. I have a question. Could you please educate the population or the populace out here as to when they request a postal ballot and it's returned, how do they know that that postal ballot has been received by the elections office? Is there any sort of confirmation that is sent out to the voter to say, we just want to let you know we've received back your vote, your ballot? And if one has not been received back, do they reach out to the voter and say, we see where you requested a postal ballot, but you haven't returned it. Did you receive it? This is what I would like to know. How this is
Okay. Did you get the last part of that?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Howell, you.
So I can take them in the order of the last one first and go that way. So for the last few election cycles, and actually in the previous cruise port referendum, we used commercial courier service, which is trackable, to send out postal ballots, and we prepaid for the return postal ballot to us by commercial carrier, which is trackable. So the individual, we can tell when the postal ballot's been delivered. The individual, for the tracked version come back, can check themselves to ensure that the ballot reaches us. So from that perspective it is, but the postal ballots themselves are not processed until after the close of the polls. So those documents are held in secure, locked postal ballot boxes within their envelopes, and there's a very public in the sense of the agents that are present and the candidates. When we go through that opening process, that's done when we unseal the box and start to go through those. That's done in a very transparent manner, after the polls close on election day. So because we do use commercial courier, we are able to check to ensure that ballots are delivered and are delivered back to us once the persons are done. As it relates to the question of allegiance and appeals, I was reading with interest recently that the Turks and Caicos Islands got some amendments to their constitution, which went into detailing the whole question of allegiance and effectively building into their constitution an understanding that an individual who was entitled to a nationality by virtue of their birth, either in a jurisdiction or of parents who had that nationality, did not seek it on their own account, did not count as an allegiance. So it's a foreign for a foreign entity. So that's some clarity that may well be required for our own constitution, but we do have sort of rulings from the Grand Court on that. Speaking of rulings, good segue into one of the things that I've been asking for as part of the election law amendments is to introduce one level of appeals on election petitions, in that right now the law says that matters are appealed to the Grand Court or petitioned to the Grand Court, and the Grand Court rulings are final. And the reason for that finality is that you don't want election matters dragging on for 4 years and there's doubt as to whether or not the representative is going to be a representative or not based on the outcome. But we did ask for, and the AG feels very strongly about this, one second level of appeal to a Court of Appeal, which can be done relatively quickly, and for the Court of Appeal decision to then be final. So that three-panel member then would be the final arbiter on that. We did have some questions around ballots before the election. So postal ballots are really done in two scenarios. One is the person's resident within the 3 Cayman Islands but is traveling and will be away for election day. If that is the case, then they could qualify for a postal ballot. The deadline for postal ballot application is the 17th of April. In that case, the postal ballots are issued to the elections office or to district admin in the BRAC. That person comes in, fills out the postal ballot in person, seals up all of the documents that they need in order to do that, and then drop that in the box. That's then kept securely until election day, and they're processed along with all the other postal ballots. Postal ballots for overseas are done in a similar manner, but are dispatched by commercial couriers, as I mentioned earlier, overseas to the individual, who can then vote and then send their ballot sealed up in its specific envelopes back to the elections office, to the returning officer, who is then storing that securely in that lot ballot box until election day. So those are the two scenarios in which that happens. The other scenario is mobile voting. And mobile voting is a brilliant invention, but it is a tedious one in that every time we poll an individual, the box is resealed with a temporary seal. The individuals who are accompanying the box can affix their signatures to that, and that carries on until mobile voting is complete. That seal remains on the box along with the signatures of all the persons there and can be examined by them before the count begins. In 2021, we had a last-minute modification to the elections rules, which caused some concern for some folks. Thought we were pulling a fast one on them, but the rules up until that point had that postal ballots were counted by the box, as were mobile ballots. We had the case in Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman where we issued exactly one postal ballot, and if we were counting that ballot in a box by itself, there would be no anonymity, no anonymous voting for that particular voter. So we passed a rule where the postal ballot boxes and the mobile boxes are mixed in with one box from regular polling, so that we obscure those small numbers of individuals whose indication of their vote would have been
because
very,
they would
very obvious.
easy to know. Yes,
exactly.
Yep. Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break. We have 2 callers, one on WhatsApp, one on the landline. We're going to take the landline one when we return. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. At Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have less than 10 minutes to go in the show. We have 2 callers. Those will be our final callers, and we're asking everyone to please be as brief as possible. Our landline caller first. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Iffy, and good morning, Mr. Wesley.
Good morning.
I have a quick question and a little bit of a frustration, and I'm hoping, I think you kind of said it before, but I want to make sure that it's clear to the listening public. So I am out there trying to get as many people registered as possible, particularly young people. I still consider myself young. And I'm trying, and the frustration that I'm getting is mixed information about the document requirement for a person to register. So the previous caller that called for clarification about acknowledgement, I advised her based on the requirement on the, I think the online website portal to register individuals, because there is a slot that says you must have the birth certificate. It doesn't actually allow you to move on unless that slot has a document in there. So it's a little frustrating, and I had an issue this morning where a young man's documents were, so he has Caymanian status. He's not born in Cayman. His parents are not Caymanian. He obtained status as a minor of, I think his parents eventually became Caymanian, and he was became status holder by that means. I personally uploaded those documents. He didn't have his birth certificate. I uploaded his passport stamp that said he had Caymanian status, his naturalization letter that said he had Caymanian status, and they returned it and said he was ineligible until he submitted his birth certificate and his status. And he's to the point now where he was like, this is rubbish. Like, you told me it would be super easy, and now they're telling me this is not the case. And then, you know, he also tuned into the Mall Road show where I also called in to clarify, like, what were the precise requirements for registration. And, I mean, just bear in mind that, I'm just going to call it like it is, a lot of young people really don't want to be registered. Their fear of being on that jury duty list is just kind of weird to me, but it is what it is. And it's a bit frustrating, and I'm not sure what remedy is there, you know, so that everybody's kind of singing from the same hymn book and everybody understands what the requirements are, and don't make it any more difficult, because it's hard enough to convince them to get registered. But that's the first step. If they're never registered, they don't get an opportunity to vote. But if they are registered, it's there. So I was hoping that you could speak to that, and also just to put out a second reminder that even students overseas are eligible, if they're not going to be on island, are eligible to vote by postal ballot.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Mr. Howell, anything you want to say to her in terms of reaching out to the office on the last one that she spoke about there with the passport and everything?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we took the opportunity to re-clarify that with the registering officers and to ensure that we were all operating with the same understanding that an individual with an acknowledgement letter would not need to submit a birth certificate. Now, as with most things, there are some instances where that might be. So if an individual is acknowledged as having the right to be Caymanian, up until the age 18. So their parents became Caymanian after they were born. So they weren't born as a Caymanian. They became a Caymanian later on in their life. They actually have to reapply for a continuation at age 18.
Yeah.
So in that case, we may require some additional documents, but we sorry to do that through a follow-up process rather than ahead of time. But I do apologize to the caller, and I appreciate the effort that she is doing to help individuals get registered. We've since clarified that with our registering officers, and if you have your passport and acknowledgement letter, we don't absolutely require your birth certificate at that point or your parents' birth certificate, because the acknowledgement letter serves that purpose.
Okay, thank you very much, caller, for that. Hope that helps with the situation as well. Let's take our last caller, which is the WhatsApp caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, ma'am.
And good morning, Mr. Howell.
Hey, good morning.
I have a quick question. I don't know if it was touched on earlier, but I'm going to ask it. If a person is going to be off island on elections day, and it's a trip that's already in place, cannot be changed. Of course, they won't be away, like the 17th of April or whatever. In cases like that, has there been any thought given to early voting? Because they might just be off island a few days, and one of those days being election day.
Okay.
Rather than doing a postal ballot.
Mr. Howell?
Early voting is one of the things that I'd really like to see come into effect as well, where individuals can come and vote comfortably and secretly in advance of polling day. We do have a version of that, which is the mobile voting that is used by our own staff, police officers, other persons that are working on election day, and despite having a requirement where employers are required to give persons time to vote, it's not always logistically convenient. So we have what we call mobile voting, but it's a fixed location that those persons can go in and do that. I would really like to see that expanded, but currently the only option that they have at this point would be for the postal ballots, which are then issued if requested on or before the 17th of April. Okay. To quickly go to some of the other things, then I think there was a question as it relates to political signage. So in the planning department's sign guidelines, and this is dated 2014, election signs do not require planning permission if they're erected after the dissolution of Parliament. For us, this now is the 1st of March this year. And a setback minimum of 12 feet from the road edge and a maximum size of 32 square feet and a maximum height of 12 feet. So the planning guidelines set out what does not require permission. From an election perspective, those signs have to be taken down by the evening of the eve of the general election. Social media postings are a whole nother matter for us.
Yes.
Not all social media is paid adverts. Some of them are organically done, so it's a post that's spreading just organically from people sharing and liking. But ideally, social media posts should be set to expire before election day as well. But for me, I really think all of that is a bit archaic, because as we were talking about postal ballots, individuals will be voting from the 10th of March. 10th of March. So Parliament dissolved on the 1st of March. Nomination day is the 3rd of March. 7 days
after, yes.
We're issuing postal ballots. So long, while all the posters are up, all the adverts are on, people are on the radio talking about their stuff, individuals are voting. Hundreds of people are voting that way. So for me, it's a bit archaic that we're still having the midnight take all your signs down.
And it may be constitutional challenges that some people are being treated differently than others as well. Is the caller still there, Ms. Susan?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I wanted to ask if Mr. Howell mentioned about, I guess, putting in applications to have certain things changed. I know that won't probably be covered for this election, but would that be something you would give some thought to for the next election for those of us who might still be around?
Thank you very much, caller, for that. And that may be something that the observers may have already opined upon, or may again as well.
It was one of the recommendations that I've put forward to the elected government in terms of amendments to the Elections Act, is the ability to do advanced polling, as I called it, to have the early voting on, and also for persons who are living in one island and working in another island, because we do have some individuals like that the polling day becomes challenging because of that.
Okay, Mr. Howell, between now and Wednesday, there's a message that you want to get out there to all of our listeners as well, give you an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, we're 2 days and probably 13 hours counting now before the close of voter registration. What I say to folks, including my own kids, is that if you're registered, you have an opportunity to vote for someone. If you're not registered by the deadline on Wednesday at midnight and you miss that, someone that you really want to support, or you have a strong opinion, if we do have the referendum and that happens on election day, and you want to vote one way or the other on that, but you're not registered, then you will not be able to vote unless you're registered. So please register. And for our generational Caymanians, you have to register in your numbers, because the new Caymanians coming on board who have been voting in their other countries of nationality are registered in their significant numbers. So don't be outnumbered on the list because of your own actions and not getting registered to vote. Please register to vote.
And if you feel that you're short of a document, don't hesitate to submit what you have.
Absolutely.
Because while the dateline is the 15th, there will be follow-ups by the registering officers to complete that process, for several weeks afterwards.
And as it relates to birth certificates in particular, if you were born in the Cayman Islands and you don't have that, submit anyway, because we can request those documents if necessary on your behalf behind the scenes.
Anything else?
No, I just want to say thank you for your time. Your audience is as usual have been spot on with their questions. I hope I've answered all of them. If I hadn't, then I'll be on at some other time to start talking about nominations and other things as it relates to voting locations. Just a quick thank you to the staff that are out this weekend starting to put up banners indicating where the polling stations are going to be set up, the polling divisions for election day. We're in that season, Cayman, and please, if you haven't updated your information or registered to vote, please do that within the next 2 days.
Okay. And before you go, and our intentions here for the record, and it's difficult to sort of like stick to the program that you have, is that as each event is coming forward, we'll talk more about it. We see a lot of people talking about nomination now and who's running. We see lists out there. Nothing is finalized until 4 o'clock in the afternoon on nomination day, and maybe not even then, because if there are any challenges,
absolutely.
they the courts may deal with them, as well. But one of our listeners wanted to know whether or not there was any time frame between a person who's a government employee and wishing to be a candidate, if there's any time frame in terms of retirement.
So they have to be in and this is a constitutional requirement that you can be a public officer and be an elected official. So you have to have resigned and have that final and complete by nomination day. So you can work backwards from that. So that would take into account all notice periods and finality that comes with that. But you cannot be a public officer and stand for office. So that would happen. You would have to have all that bit done, which is why you see some board members who are considered public officers resigning from their positions now to ensure that resignation takes effect before nomination day.
Mr. Howell, I want to thank you very much, you and your staff again, for the excellent job that you do. We know that the integrity of elections in process questionable in some countries throughout the world. Here in the Cayman Islands, while we have had some individuals, questioning things, there is really no basis for it whatsoever. And again, thanks congrats to you and your staff for the sterling job that they do. Folks, I want to thank all of you who participated this morning. I want to remind you to tune in to Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury, and JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market, experience a world of choice.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, and right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.